Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Craftinomical SMP server, where we're playing Feed the Beast Revelation. My name is Naragath, and in the last episode we got our reactor up and running. That thing's been working a treat over the past week. I let my quarry run for most of that, and now I don't have it running right now. And what I also did is I hooked this up to the main power, and then lowered its control rods about 95-ish%, so it's producing a little more than 1,000 RF per tick. And the reason why I have it only producing a little over 1,000 is with this line right here with the FluxX, the leadstone FluxX, they only transfer 1,000 RF per tick. So, yeah, I keep it around 1,000 so that we always have full power with these lines. Eventually I'm going to upgrade them, but at the same time I don't really need that much more power than that for the machines that are in my base. For my quarry, yeah, I needed way more than 1,000. I had this running full power the entire time I was running the quarry, so that was a thing. But I also upgraded the power cells so that it could handle the 15,000 RF that I wanted to send to the quarry. So yeah, so that's been working pretty good. But other than that, up here, the only other thing that I really changed is I went ahead and put in a couple more storage drawers and moved the catalyzing glands and the rib bones up here. I got these two just so I can craft fertilizing lily pads here later on. It won't be this episode, but it'll be later on once I start getting slime pearls. And I got the bones and the rotten flesh up here, just in case I need them. There's been a couple of things that I've wanted to craft that needed them, but also just in case the buffer chests that I have for the death runners and the explosion generators are empty and I need to run it, you know, for either powering the battery here or, you know, as a backup generator should I be doing any work on my reactor or something, and I might have my Emmy system running. But anyway, that's what I've done in this side. Down here, like I said, I let the quarry run for a better part of the week, so I am sitting really good on most resources. There's a few things that I'll want to get more of, but it's not a big deal. Like emeralds, I might look into creating some kind of farm for them, as well as getting more glowstone, but those are pretty minor. Obviously, I moved the quarry over to the nether for a little bit. Allowed me to get, you know, plenty of cobalt, nardite, and nether quartz for the time being. Soul sand, I probably could use more, but it's sitting pretty good right now. Eventually, I'm going to be making an automatic wither summoning killing system. So, getting a jump start on the soul sand is pretty nice, but I will also have a way of crafting soul sand, so that's not a huge deal. But other than that, we're sitting good on ores. The gold I actually have more than what's shown here. Since it doesn't have a void upgrade, it's going straight into my Emmy system, which will go over here in a sec. But as you can see, I also have 3 lines running off of that ender chest now. That allow to better keep up with the quarry. It doesn't keep up with the quarry yet. I need to upgrade my servos to the resonant servos, and they should. Or at least it'll be pretty close to keeping up with it. But other than that, you know, we have the lines running into the drawer controller here, which obviously does this thing, sorting items into the drawers up there. But anything that doesn't go in there goes into this item chest. And this item chest is hooked up to an import bus, which will send it into my Emmy system. And this drawer controller is also hooked up to a storage bus, which allows my Emmy system to read it. And I also have it set up to a higher priority than my drives so that it will send it here before it will send it there. You know, into the drives so that we're not using up storage space on them. Like I said, with the gold, I haven't upgraded it, so I was sending it to the drive, so I need to fix that later, but it's not a priority. The other thing that I did with the quarry is I also upgraded its shape card to a fortune shape card, so that anything that it can fortune, it will be fortuning. So that's working pretty nice, and that's why I have almost 2,000 diamonds. So that's pretty sweet. But the main thing that I worked on between episodes was my Emmy system. I did actually quite a bit of work on it. So last episode we had the inscribers here, and also I had the power cell. I've since moved the power cell under the floor, and then crafted up 4 of the advanced subscribers, so that I have 1 for each circuit, and then I have 1 to craft the circuits into processors. And I also have hooked these up to an auto crafting system, which I'll go over here in a little bit. In addition to that, I also created this crystal growth chamber. This thing is pretty sweet. Whenever you need to craft pure Cirrus quartz, pure Felix crystals, this acts exactly like a puddle of water surrounded by growth chambers, but with the added benefit of A, you don't need the water, B, it's 1 block, and C, you can hook it up to the Emmy system for automatic crafting without doing anything funky, like hooking up precision droppers and absorption hoppers and things like that. So that's pretty sweet. And in addition to that, I got this wall over here, which is my crafting wall. So we have a bunch of Emmy interfaces, a lot of them that are full with patterns for various items. It still need a lot more to craft a lot more patterns, but we're good there. Then I have a lot of these molecular assemblers. My plan is I'm also going to do the top with that as well. I just haven't got around to it yet. While I'm looking at it, you can also see that I switch out this wall and that wall with marble. Reason being is that the cable facades from Applied Energistics 2 don't use connected textures. So you get this funky border like we got here. And I wasn't going to have it for the walls here. It kind of works for my terminals here. I would rather have the connected texture, but I can live with it here. With over here, with like the growth chamber and the advanced subscribers, I have to put a facade down at the bottom there because I have to have an import bus hooked up to them. But anyway, it just looked really weird having them hooked up like that. So yeah, switch it over to marble because it doesn't have a connected texture, but it does without having a connected texture, so it looks a lot better. Yeah, the other thing I did was the Emmy drives here. In the last episode, I think I only had a 4K drive, but since having my quarry running for as long as it has and getting all the stuff all the materials that I have, I made 19 64K drives, which is obviously kind of overkill at the moment, but I figure I want to have it there so that I don't have to worry about storage for quite a while. And when I do, then I can just craft up more drives and call it good. So that's mainly what I've done in between episodes. And one thing I did kind of want to go over very briefly, just kind of a general overview, is how autocrafting works. Because I know there's a few people who may be watching this that don't quite understand how the autocrafting works. I will not claim to be an expert on this, but I'll kind of give you a brief overview of how I understand how autocrafting works. Alright, so for Applied Energistics 2 autocrafting, I'm going to try to go over this really quickly. It's a complex topic that can easily take several minutes for me to go over the basics of this. So it might be one of those that I'll save most of this for like a tutorial or something like that. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. But anyway, a real basic overview of the autocrafting, the things that you need. You'll need to have a pattern terminal, and this you use to make the different patterns that you will need in order to autocraft stuff. Without the patterns, you can't do autocrafting. So keep that in mind. And with the patterns, you have to do different kinds of patterns. You have a crafting pattern and a processing pattern. The easy way to differentiate between the two is the processing pattern. You put in, for say this example right here, I put iron ore in. I'm expecting to get 2 iron ingots back. Now, you may not get 2 iron ingots back, but that's what it expects when it comes to the autocrafting. So if you mistakenly put this pattern on a smelter by itself, well, when you smelt an iron ore, you get 1 ingot back. So it'll assume that you're going to get 2 iron ingots back because that's what you told it. But if you don't end up getting it, you may run into an issue of not having enough resources that it puts in because it was expecting, a different outcome. So, like for this example, I would be wanting to put it on the pulverizer and then having the pulverizer auto input into the smelter and have the smelter, smelt the dust that comes from it. and then you'll get the 2. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, and also tells you how dumb the system can be too, because it assumes that you're telling it the correct pattern. So make sure that you're putting in the correct pattern, with the correct result, and when it comes to a processing pattern. Now, a crafting pattern, on the other hand, is a little bit easier to deal with, as let's take a bed, for example. Let's say, let's go with a white one, because I know I've already told the system how to make wood and also white wool. So anyway, you take a bed here, take the pattern in there, and then I can now make beds. Well, I have the pattern in order to make it, but I can't make it yet. What I have to do is I have to put it into something that is able to craft said bed. So, for example, this, I want to be able to, I can craft beds if I put it into a crafting table. And that's what these molecular assemblers are, basically auto crafting tables. Think of it as kind of that. And then these Emmy interfaces will hold up to 9 different patterns that it can tell these Emmy heads as molecular assemblers that it's connected to what to craft at a time. Now, by itself, it won't do that. In order to do that, you need at least 1 crafting storage. And the bigger the crafting storage, the more you can do in a particular job, or the more complex the item can be. So that's where the storage comes in, is just the size of the job, because what you request takes up so many bytes of information, basically. So the bigger the item or the more complex it is, the more storage you need in order to craft it. Now, these co-processing units allow you to craft more of the steps to make it at once, assuming that you've taught the system how to make it, of course, or that you have the materials already on hand. The more of them it has, the more it can process at a time. So therefore, the more of these you have, the faster the crafting process will be. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. It's a very, very quick and dirty explanation, but it kind of hopefully gives you somewhat of an idea of how auto crafting works. Again, there's a lot more I could go over with this, but that's general overview of it, and I may end up making a tutorial on it just to not only help reinforce what I know for myself, but also to give a more detailed explanation of how auto crafting works for those of you that are interested. So hopefully you guys get that, and let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do today is I want to set up a new mob farm. This one is really nice for general mobs. It'll do, the Endermen, the creepers, all that stuff. It'll do pretty much all the general mobs that you'll normally see spawning. It won't do, however, is specific mobs, and that's one thing I want to do today. So I want to set up one specifically for wither skeletons right now. Later on, I may want to modify it to also do blazes as well. But I already pretty much have the room put together. I may have forgot to record parts of this. So it's pretty much all set up and ready to go. If I go ahead, turn on the computer here. I have the computer here to control both the spawner and the crusher here. And the way that it's controlling it is, see right, barely can see right there. I have a redstone relay there. I have one on the fluid duct to control the mob crusher. Then I have one on the power line that goes up and over on the mob duplicator there to control it. So that's pretty simple there. It's just a simple on-off basically for that, but just an interactive way to do it. Now you may be asking yourself, well, why would you want to control the crusher? Well, as I mentioned in the last episode, very briefly, I want to get into the soul shards mod, and the way that you need to do that is you need to make a soul shard. Then you need to kill the mob yourself, preferably with a weapon that has soul scaling on it to add more souls to said soul shard while you're carrying it. But you have to do it yourself. You can't say put it in the in a crusher and it'll get the souls. You may be able to do it with a mechanical user, possibly. I haven't tried it yet, but I kind of doubt it. But anyway, the point is, I want to be able to be down here and kill them myself right here. So that's why this is open and it'll allow me to, kill them myself. But it's also within range of the crusher there, so I can turn that on and auto kill them and, just automatically get stuff like that. But anyway, since we're back here, and the system that I have set up is pretty simple as far as like controlling the drops and all that. Obviously, I have my signal and plated item ducts, so I can have the power and the items here. Right now, the only thing I don't have going is getting the instance pumped out, but I'm not too concerned about that, as the regular mob farm is just about enough to keep up with this running at full tilt. So I'm not too worried about that. But anyway, it goes into an ender chest with the same code as the quarry. So I'll send it down below there, and I'll show that here in a sec. But anyway, we go into the room here, and this is all obsidian here on the walls and also on the floor. It just looks cool. So that's why I did that. But you'll see I have these vector plates here. These things are really cool, as they will push yourself or mobs in the direction of the arrows, unless you're holding shift. But if I were to let go of shift, it'll automatically move me towards that opening there. And it does it pretty good. And this is the medium tier. So if I were to go to the higher tier, it would be even more of a force putting it on. But anyway, I don't need that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I have this mob imprisonment tool with the wither skeleton that I got a little while back. Go ahead and put that in there. And since it's not receiving a redstone signal, it's not going to produce the mobs just yet. And as far as the light level goes, the mob duplicator isn't as picky about it as regular mob spawning. So go ahead and close that up though. And then we'll hop over here and close this area up real quick. And then if I were to go over here and turn the spawner on, there we go. And then if I turn the crusher on, pretty simple. Now the one thing that obviously you can see is that some experience will spit out here. And imagine if it doesn't pick up, all the items, or, it gets full backed up and whatnot, the items will probably spit out here. Because those vector plates will really shoot items. So that's a possibility, but it's not a big deal. If I were to turn off the crusher though, we can come over here and kill these guys ourselves. Now, right now, killing myself won't have much of a benefit other than I might get more heads, so more drops of evil. But it's not, there really isn't a big benefit to me doing it myself right now. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And I'll go ahead and show you where I have them coming down into the system. Alright, here we are down in the little room, storage room that I made for the quarry and now the mob duplicator crusher system. And I let it run for a little bit. I had to go get something to eat, so it probably ran for half an hour, maybe an hour. I didn't look exactly how long it ran, but yeah, I think it works. I definitely was not expecting to get that many drops of evil. The heads, I'm definitely glad to see that many coming in. So I'll be able to keep that stocked well enough for a mob killing station, no problem. But the drops of evil, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, as far as the rest of the drops, the stone swords, and there's this wither dust from quark. I'm throwing those away. The wither dust from quark, the only use that I see from them is being able to craft cover with it, which I don't ever see me doing. So, yeah, if there is a use for it, let me know. I just don't see a reason to keep it otherwise. The necrotic bones I'm keeping just in case I want to mess around with some Tinker's stuff, but oh no, there's no reason to keep them, but I'm keeping them anyway. Bones, obviously, I'm sending to the other storage. And then there's these guys that I'm keeping. So, yeah, I think they're working pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get some GP set up so I can go ahead and get my angel ring, because I am tired of not being able to fly around. So I'll bring you guys back in once I get some GP going and am ready to go for my angel ring. Alright, and welcome back everyone. So I got my basic grid power set up. As you can see, I have up to 64 available. I have 4 watermills running up on the surface up there. I just put this here for temporary purposes. So now it's time to go and capture a couple things. So we're going to start with a chicken and a squid. Both of those should be really easy. Squid, especially so. So we'll go ahead and start with those 2. And those 2 are also required for the first 2 rings that you need in order to make the angel ring, if you don't know. So the first one that you need to make is the chicken wing ring. Try saying that 3 times fast. And then after the chicken wing ring, you need to make the flying squid ring, I think it's called. But anyway, the flying, or the squid ring, which whatever it's called, gives you like a kind of like a boosted flight ability. It's not true flight. It's like a short-term jetpack kind of effect. There's the chicken. So now we just need to find the squid. Alright, here we are. Got a squid right there. Okay. So now that we have those 2, we'll go ahead and start with making the chicken wing ring. So pretty simple. Just need some iron, some feathers, and then these resonating redstone crystals, which I have plenty of. And if I didn't, I'd be able to easily make them. So we got the chicken wing ring. Okay. So now we have the ring of the flying squid. Still allows us to fly for a limited amount of time before we fall back. So now the next part is to get a bat and a guest. Come here. Come here. Come here. Go, get back here. Thank you. Hey, what's that? It's actually in a good spot too if I can get up that high. Which I can. Very nice. Trying not to do a return set. There we go. Alright, well that was easier than I was expecting. Definitely easier than the first time I tried it. First time I tried it over a lava lake. Yeah, that just didn't go well. Alright, so now that we got that, let's head home and we will make the angel ring real quick. That's gonna be cool. Yeah, and I got the bat already in there. Alright. Leave that one right there. Can only put 1 piece of coal in there. And I have almost 100,000 coal. Huh. Something's wrong with that. Then we need the bat. Do I already need the angel ring made? Bat, gas, gold. Oh, charcoal. That's why I'd only put. Ha ha ha. Okay, that makes sense. Alright. So, we'll go make a piece of charcoal. Easy enough. And there we go. Got ourselves an angel ring and some pretty sweet looking wings too. And what this allows us to do is have creative flight now, so yeah. That's gonna make building a lot of things a lot easier and a lot of other things a lot easier. So anyway, I think that's gonna be it for me this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you're not ready, consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitter the next time I upload. But until next time, guys, have a good one.